By the way, you know they're having a celebration of them on September the 5th. Trump celebrating the J6 people. I thought my boss, President Clinton, made an undeniable point of Democratic policy. Since the end of the Cold War, there have been 51 million jobs created in the United States. 50 million were created under Democratic presidents and 1 million under Republican presidents.
You know, that's
50 to 1.
You've got to be able to tie. If you're going to make claims like that.
First of all, I love you. I love Clinton. That's a thing to say.
Okay.
Because as we both know, am I right?
Yeah.
As we both know, jobs created, it has a lot to do with what the last guy did. Clinton got rid of Glass-Steagall. Did it have anything to do with the collapse in 2008 of the economy? I think it did. So maybe some of the jobs that were lost.
I'm sorry.
It's just a bullshit thing to say.
Bill Maher just torched another woke guest, and wow, it was something to behold. The guy strolled onto the set thinking he and Maher were on the same team, fighting the same ideological war. Big mistake. Maher had the flamethrower primed and ready. What followed was a masterclass in verbal demolition that left the woke talking points smoldering in the ashes. There's a lot to unpack here, so buckle up, this one gets spicy fast.
And the other thing I think we've been pretty aligned on is that the Democrats do better when they're center-left and not far-left.
Certainly.
It's better policy and it wins elections.
Right.
How do you think they did their convention with convincing the country that they are now back to the center-left as opposed to the far-left?
Well, first of all, you and I agreed, but that was one tough extraction, getting Biden out of the race.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, we brought in the head of oral surgery at UCLA, Nancy Pelosi. You and I were like a couple of hygienists, like hacking away at it. But Dr. Nancy came in and did it.
Maher kicks things off with a point that even some conservatives could nod along to. The left does best when it stays center-left before drifting off into the ideological abyss of the far-left fringe. And honestly, he's right. There's plenty of room for real discussion on issues like abortion rights, LGBTQ equality, and evolving gender roles. Those are meaningful debates worth having. But when the pendulum swings too far into pronoun policing, biological males competing in women's sports, or pushing gender transitions for kids, it stops looking like progress and starts feeling like chaos. That's the line where the far left loses the plot and where Maher, to his credit, draws it clearly.
Every country wanted something different. And the Democrats, they weren't looking for ethnic cleansing. They weren't looking for a war. They weren't looking for a new entitlement. The country wanted something different than Trump and Biden, and we gave it to them. And I'm not surprised the country's responding favorably. I'm really not.
Yeah, I thought that, for one thing, they sounded like America, which, has been a problem with the left in recent years. They didn't sound like they liked America too much. And this convention, I heard a lot of it. You're lucky to be an American. You're privileged. It's the greatest country in the world. It's like, thank you. Did you hear that, Congressman? Did you feel like that was sincere?
Let's be real, nobody exactly rallied behind Kamala Harris in the last election. For someone who had the full weight of the establishment, a Hollywood fan club, and a mountain of campaign cash, she should have cruised to victory. But she didn't even come close. Still, the left clings to this strange fantasy that Harris ran one of the tightest races in modern history. Nothing could be further from the truth. She lost key swing states, failed to secure the popular vote, and got crushed in the Electoral College. It wasn't a nail-biter, it was a political crash landing. The numbers don't lie. What the left called momentum was really just wishful thinking dressed up as optimism.
I will never criticize Democrats for putting on a good show. I will never criticize Democrats for being good at politics. What I criticize Democrats for is being bad at policy and governing. They put on a great show. They got those celebrities in there. They dusted off those American flags that they had previously held in the attic or burned occasionally. And then they brought him out for that freedom wave.
Very few Democrats burned
the Democrat activists burned down cities. We, as members of Congress, just a few weeks ago, we had to go put American flags back up over Union Station in Washington, D.C.
Crenshaw absolutely right. We've all seen those moments during Pride Month when the White House swaps out the stars and stripes for the pride flag as if patriotism is something you can schedule on a calendar. It's a perfect snapshot of a bigger problem, America gets love only when it's politically convenient. Politicians wrap themselves in the flag when it's time to win votes or preach unity. But the second it becomes trendy to protest, that same flag turns into a target. Suddenly it being burned, mocked, or dismissed by the very people who claim to stand for freedom. Crenshaw point lands because it cuts through the hypocrisy. Loving America only when it fits your narrative isn't patriotism. It's performance.
They put on a good show. They're right. Full of hope and joy, and I get it. Like, that's great. Starry-eyed views of optimism of the future. But on policy, not so great. And in the end, this is going to be about policy. They were very light on that. Why? Because they don't want to contend with the fact that they own the last 4 years of policy. We do have a very unique opportunity here where we have two candidates where you can look at 4 years and 4 years. You know exactly what they're going to do, and you know exactly what the outcomes are. And on every metric, Donald Trump wins on this. And so that's what we're going to keep pushing this election toward, is what are the metrics that will actually make your life better? Donald Trump wins on this, on the policy and the outcomes associated with that.
Crenshaw nailed it. The Democrats are still running on vibes and slogans instead of real substance, and that's exactly why they're floundering. Even nearly a year after their defeat, they still can't articulate a clear, unified vision for the future. Ask 10 Democrats about their priorities, and you'll get 10 different answers, each one contradicting the last. There's no coherent economic strategy, no solid stance on border security, and no message that connects with the working-class Americans who feel left behind. During the campaign, Kamala Harris had it all: wall-to-wall media coverage, celebrity endorsements, and deep-pocketed donors. But all the glitz in the world can't replace a genuine message. When the noise faded, voters saw right through the performance. They didn't lose because of bad luck, they lost because they stood for nothing that truly resonated with everyday Americans.
By the way, you know they're having a celebration of them on September the 5th. Trump celebrating the J6 people. I thought my boss, President Clinton, made an undeniable point of Democratic policy. Since the end of the Cold War, there have been 51 million jobs created in the United States. 50 million were created under Democratic presidents and 1 million under Republican presidents.
You know, that's
50 to 1.
You've got to be able to tie. If you're going to make claims like that.
First of all, I love you. I love Clinton. That's a thing to say.
Okay.
Because as we both know, am I right?
Yeah.
As we both know, jobs created, it has a lot to do with what the last guy did. Clinton got rid of Glass-Steagall. Did that have anything to do with the collapse in 2008 of the economy? I think it did. So maybe some of the jobs that were lost.
I'm sorry.
It's just a bullshit thing to say.
Maher absolutely right. It's never just about how many jobs exist, but what kind of jobs they are and the real stability they offer. Politicians love to brag about creating millions of new positions, but if most of them are low-wage, part-time, or temporary, then not progress at window dressing. What often gets overlooked is how many decent jobs vanished during the same period, wiping out much of that so-called growth. Under Clinton economic management in 2008, the numbers might have looked respectable on paper, but the foundation was fragile. Too many of those jobs lacked long-term security or real opportunities for advancement. Meanwhile, rising costs, stagnant wages, and a brewing housing crisis were already eating away at the middle class. So while the stats made for great headlines, they didn't match the day-to-day reality for working Americans. Maher point slices through the spin. Job quantity means nothing without genuine economic quality.
You've got to tie a policy to an outcome. I can tie policies from Donald Trump to outcomes. So you cut taxes, you cut regulations. What does that do? It makes it easier to do business and hire people. So you're going to have job growth. You had 8% wage increase after inflation under Donald Trump before the pandemic. Actually, 16% if you're talking about the lowest quintile of earners. Under Biden, it's been 0. So on every metric, he wins, and I can go down the list.
I guess that the crime is down 30%. The stock market is up. The metrics that y'all choose are just BS metrics.
No, I choose metrics.
No, it's not a meaningless metric. It's the one that actually counts. When we talk about the economy, we're talking about real, measurable indicators: low inflation, meaningful tax relief, fewer regulations, and policies that give businesses room to grow. Those are the fundamentals that create jobs, raise wages, and strengthen the middle class. That's exactly why Trump connected with so many Americans and why Kamala Harris fell flat. He spoke directly to the issues that hit home for working families: the cost of living, take-home pay, and a government that doesn't strangle small businesses with red tape. Meanwhile, Harris and the Democrats were too busy pandering to the far left, obsessing over culture wars instead of addressing kitchen table realities. At the end of the day, voters make decisions based on their wallets, not their hashtags. And that's the simple truth the left still refuses to grasp.
The Democrats have done a better job at job creation, but it's not 50-1. So don't lie to me. You know what? I'm an ally till you lie.
Please fact check. Either Bill's right or I'm right.
Well,
fact check.
but the numbers don't necessarily mean.
Okay. But it's 50-1.
You understand what my.
We had the lowest unemployment in 50 years under Trump. And again, you have to associate an outcome with policies. And you can't tell me what Biden policy resulted in better jobs. If we're increasing our jobs.
Also, there was a pandemic that had a lot to do with having.
There's a massive.
There's a lot of factors that go into it. It's a again. Let's move on.
I'm sure James Carville expected Bill Maher to jump in and back him up when he probably tossed out that talking point about Democrats creating 50 million jobs compared to Trump 1 million. It sounded like a slam dunk, a perfect setup to score some easy political points. But Maher didn't take the bait. Instead, he pushed back, calling out the oversimplification right there on the spot. Maher reminded him that job creation isn't a scoreboard, it's about context. Economic cycles, global events, and the post-pandemic rebound all played massive roles in inflating those numbers. In short, correlation isn't causation. Carville tried to spin it into proof of Democratic superiority, but Maher cut through the spin, pointing out that leadership isn't about throwing around big numbers, it's about creating lasting, meaningful economic strength.
This country simply has no education standards anymore. They will let you out of a public high school and give you a diploma, and you don't have to actually know anything, which used to be the mission of schools, knowing things. I know it's super important to stop the grooming of our kids, or, I don't know, to start it. And certainly critical race theory must be stricken from the curriculum, or who knows, maybe included in all of it. But, while we're having those fights, could someone please notice that the kids don't actually know anything?
While everyone busy debating the economy, the real crisis is unfolding inside America's classrooms. The education system is in freefall. Kids are graduating without even the most basic reading, writing, or math skills. Why? Because ideology has replaced merit. Programs like DI and critical race theory have turned schools into social laboratories, where showing up counts more than showing skill. Diplomas are handed out like participation ribbons, and excellence has been sacrificed in the name of equity. The result is devastating. Meritocracy, the very principle that once made American education the gold standard, has been abandoned. Now we're facing the fallout, a generation of students unprepared for the real world, unequipped to compete globally, and conditioned to believe that effort and excellence no longer matter. This isn't just a policy failure. It's a moral one, an erosion of the nation's intellectual backbone, one classroom at a time.
As I travel this country on weekends doing stand-up now, I see the political ads that are running on the local TV markets, and I think, how can this possibly work on people? And then I remember, oh yes, they think Queen Elizabeth is from Egypt. When again, plainly, it's Brazil.
There's really no measuring the damage Democrats did to America's education system while they held power. Years of prioritizing politics over performance left our schools weakened, our teachers demoralized, and our students unprepared for the real world. But that's finally starting to change. The president is stepping up, taking legal action against institutions that push divisive ideologies instead of real academics. The message couldn't be clearer: schools are for education, not indoctrination. It's about restoring merit, discipline, and common sense, the very values that once made American education the best in the world. And if this new momentum holds, we might just see our schools return to what they were always meant to be, places where truth, hard work, and excellence actually matter again. Maher's conversation perfectly captured the deeper problem with today's politics. The left has drifted so far from reason that even lifelong liberals like him are sounding the alarm. Instead of tackling real issues, fixing the economy, improving education, protecting meritocracy, they've become consumed by identity politics and performative wokeness. Meanwhile, everyday Americans are exhausted. They care about inflation, jobs, and giving their kids a future, not pronouns, protests, or posturing. Leaders like Trump and Crenshaw understand what matters: strength built on substance, not slogans. And Maher proved that even those on the left can see the far-left experiment has failed. The country doesn't need more virtue signaling, it needs results. It's time to bring back accountability, common sense, and pride in hard work, the very principles that built America in the first place. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.